After Zhe Hong died, the red flame was completely absorbed by the celestial statue. Cracks rapidly spread across the statue, releasing blood-red light that carried Zhe Hong's aura. Blood-like tears seemed to flow from the statue's eyes. Li Yuan stared at the statue in confusion and began questioning whether everything he had done was wrong. Wang Lin observed the scene carefully. He realized that Li Yuan himself was not a serious threat, but the slave imprint within Li Yuan contained an extremely powerful and mysterious force. Wang Lin recalled several strange incidents involving Li Yuan, including his abnormal reaction beneath the statue and Zhe Hong's final gaze toward it. These clues allowed Wang Lin to piece together the truth. The Zhe family were descendants of the Celestial. The Li family had originally been innocent, but their ancestor had entered this place long ago and received the slave imprint. Since then, generations of the Li family had unknowingly sacrificed their cultivation and lifespans to nourish the Celestial's remnant soul. What appeared to be the Li family's struggle for freedom was actually the process of reviving the Celestial Master hidden within the slave imprint. Wang Lin realized that the talented Li family ancestor from tens of thousands of years ago had not truly freed the Li family from servitude. Instead, he had awakened the remnant soul of his master. Wang Lin also concluded that Li Yuan had specifically sought him out because of the Karma Whip. After witnessing Wang Lin use the Karma Whip previously, Li Yuan believed it could help remove the celestial soul's resistance to resurrection. The failure of the resurrection attempt tens of thousands of years ago had not been caused by the Zhe family or a lack of treasures. The real reason was that the Celestial himself did not wish to return to life at the cost of all his descendants. Wang Lin suspected that the Zhe family had continued making sacrifices outside the celestial realm in preparation for another resurrection attempt. The Karma Whip could influence karma itself, making it a crucial tool for overcoming the celestial soul's resistance. Wang Lin further speculated that Li Yuan possessed another karma-related treasure. This explained why the Zhe family had preserved their 3 treasures for generations instead of hiding them, patiently waiting for another reincarnation of the slave imprint within the Li family. Through careful observation, Wang Lin realized that Li Yuan possessed 2 personalities. One belonged to the real Li Yuan, while the other originated from the remnant soul inside the slave imprint. The conflict between these 2 aspects prevented Li Yuan from fully utilizing his family's restriction techniques. This internal struggle explained the instability of every restriction he used. After understanding everything, Wang Lin felt sympathy for Li Yuan. Li Yuan was a servant whose loyalty had endured for countless years. Wang Lin remembered the illusion he had seen earlier, where a lonely servant stood at the tip of a sword after his master's death. Since that moment, the servant had devoted everything to reviving his master. Li Yuan knelt before the statue and sorrowfully questioned why his master refused to awaken. He expressed his wish for his master to once again stand upon the sword hilt while he stood at the sword tip, serving him as before. The collapse of his second resurrection attempt shattered the faith that had sustained him for countless years. As more cracks appeared, increasing amounts of red light flowed from the statue and were absorbed into the scroll. The process accelerated until all the red light had been extracted. The statue lost all vitality and became an ordinary stone object. The scroll, now filled with the red light, suddenly ignited. Flames spread from all edges toward the center. Green smoke emerged from the burning scroll and remained suspended in the air instead of dispersing. Eventually the entire scroll burned to ashes. The green smoke gradually formed the shape of a blurry figure standing upon a sword. The figure stood on the sword hilt, while the sword tip remained empty. The figure then gestured toward Li Yuan. At that moment, the slave imprint on Li Yuan's forehead appeared. The remnant soul hidden inside the imprint emerged from his body and flew onto the tip of the sword. The sword and both figures then ascended into the sky and vanished. Everything seemed dreamlike and unreal. Wang Lin stared at the lifeless statue and once again witnessed the ancient scene from the past. This time he clearly heard the Celestial's final words, "I'm dead. My soul extinguished?" The statue then completely collapsed into rubble. Wang Lin could no longer determine the truth. Perhaps the Celestial had truly died long ago, and everything was merely the lonely dream of a faithful servant's remnant soul. Or perhaps the reality was different from all his previous conclusions. There was no answer. From that day onward, an additional green smoke sword appeared within the Thunder Celestial realm. Upon its tip stood a solitary figure, seemingly destined to remain there for eternity. After everything ended, Li Yuan regained consciousness. Lying on the ground, weak and confused, he looked around before finally noticing Wang Lin. Numerous celestial caves were scattered throughout the fragments of the Thunder celestial realm, each containing the treasures of their former masters and protected by countless restrictions. Entering these celestial dwellings was never simple. Although the Thunder celestial realm had opened many times over the years, many restrictions remained unbroken. Some were extraordinarily powerful, while others were dangerous enough that cultivators should not disturb them. While exploring a debris-filled region, Li Yuan examined the ground and explained to Wang Lin that the area contained a restriction formed from the fourth law of the 8 laws of celestial restrictions. This restriction disrupted the surrounding celestial spiritual energy, allowing it to remain hidden from divine sense. Based on his analysis, Li Yuan believed that breaking the restriction would reveal a hidden celestial cave. Wang Lin quickly realized that the restriction was primarily connected to the soil beneath them. The fragment they stood upon was small, with black earth stretching beneath a dark sky. Although no visible thunder could be seen, muffled rumbling continuously echoed through the surroundings. There were no cultivators within tens of thousands of kilometers, making the two appear especially isolated. Li Yuan praised Wang Lin's talent in understanding restrictions, noting that throughout the past month, Wang Lin had consistently grasped the key points of his teachings. He collected some of the restriction soil and suggested that Wang Lin do the same. Li Yuan explained that once they left the Thunder celestial realm, the soil might undergo changes, and if it retained its special properties, it could become valuable material for crafting restriction compasses. When Wang Lin thanked him, Li Yuan replied that he should be the one expressing gratitude. Wang Lin had not only saved his life but had also freed him from the slave imprint. Li Yuan had regained consciousness 1 month earlier, and after recovering his memories, he learned everything he had done while under the slave imprint's control. The realization left him deeply shaken. Filled with gratitude, he decided to share all of his knowledge regarding restrictions without reservation. Li Yuan promised that after returning to the Li family, he would bring Wang Lin to the ancestral inheritance temple and personally teach him the annihilation restriction. Wang Lin immediately understood the significance of this offer. The annihilation restriction was one of the 4 great restrictions, and although it was not a celestial spell, its power rivaled one. Furthermore, it could only be learned at a place of inheritance, and the Li family was the last remaining source of that knowledge. Examining the area further, Li Yuan concluded that the restriction hiding the site had already been damaged long ago through a crude method. He released a black line from between his eyebrows, formed a seal, and pressed it into the earth. As he shouted for the restriction to break, the ground trembled and the concealed layers of restrictions collapsed one after another. A celestial mountain and a beautiful pavilion gradually appeared before them. The mountain was not particularly tall, but a magnificent palace stood upon its side. Numerous holes covered the mountain, suggesting that the celestial plants once growing there had long been harvested. Only ordinary trees remained. The palace itself was in ruins, though traces of its former grandeur could still be seen. Li Yuan confirmed that the scene matched his expectations. Wang Lin praised Li Yuan's mastery of restrictions and remarked that although most of the places they discovered had already been explored by others, they might eventually encounter a completely intact celestial palace. Li Yuan explained that each of the 4 ancient restrictions possessed terrifying power when cultivated to the highest level. Whether celestial beings, demons, or even mortal beasts, all could be sealed by them. He also revealed that the famous 18-plum restriction originated from the annihilation restriction and had spread beyond the Li family, allowing outsiders to learn of its existence. Wang Lin observed that such a powerful restriction must have attracted many cultivators throughout the all-heaven star system. Li Yuan admitted this was true. During the countless years the Li family endured the slave imprint, they had been forced to teach the annihilation restriction to outsiders 7 different times. However, although those individuals genuinely learned the technique and were even allowed to study within the inheritance temple, none of them obtained the restriction heart. Without the restriction heart, the annihilation restriction remained incomplete. The restriction heart could only be inherited by the head of each generation of the Li family. As repayment for everything Wang Lin had done, Li Yuan promised that after leaving the Thunder celestial realm, he would permanently grant Wang Lin half of the restriction heart. Wang Lin could only respond with solemn respect. Their conversation was interrupted when Li Yuan suddenly noticed something unusual about the palace. Following his gaze, Wang Lin carefully observed the area and eventually discovered that the tree behind the palace behaved strangely. Only the left side of the tree moved with the wind, while the right side remained completely motionless. Li Yuan was shocked by Wang Lin's keen observation and praised him, saying that his insight already surpassed many restriction masters despite not having learned the annihilation restriction. Realizing they might have found something important, the two flew toward the mountain and arrived beside the palace. The moment they approached, Wang Lin sensed a gloomy aura emanating from the motionless half of the tree, carrying an unmistakable sense of danger. And both men stopped at nearly the same moment. Beneath the tree lay two white skeletons, one of which wore rough leather armor covered in natural cracks. The instant Wang Lin saw the armor, his expression changed dramatically, his eyes widening with shock and disbelief as he recognized something that left him completely stunned. The realization striking so suddenly that he could only stare in silence as an unfinished thought echoed in his mind. This is. Wang Lin immediately recognized that the leather armor was made from ancient god skin. And the sight filled him with an inexplicable sorrow, reminding him of his original body. When Li Yuan asked if he knew what it was, Wang Lin concealed the truth and merely said it resembled something once owned by a friend. Li Yuan then focused on the tree and used the 18 plum restrictions to analyze it. As the restrictions landed, the surrounding space distorted, ripples spread outward, even the skeleton twisted, and a sound like shattering glass echoed before everything suddenly collapsed. The tree and skeleton vanished, revealing a softly glowing transfer array. Li Yuan explained that this was the third of the 8 laws of celestial restrictions. A mirage restriction, meaning the skeleton had never been real. Wang Lin agreed, noting the illusion was likely designed to lure treasure seekers into a deadly trap, with the armor serving as irresistible bait that had probably cost many cultivators their lives. They discussed whether the restriction had been left by celestials or created later by someone seeking to kill and rob others. Li Yuan believed it was likely the first time it had been broken, while Wang Lin suggested time may have caused flaws, allowing them to glimpse what was hidden within. Though Li Yuan admitted deliberate manipulation remained possible. As they spoke, the transfer array began to destabilize, small vortexes appearing at its edges as it collapsed, revealing fragmented images of ancient ruins within. Seeing this, Li Yuan concluded Wang Lin's theory was likely correct and suggested further investigation. Before they could act, an overwhelmingly powerful divine sense swept across the fragment, so terrifying that even the clouds seemed to part before it. Li Yuan felt immense pressure, struggled to breathe, his celestial energy became chaotic, and he coughed up blood. Although the divine sense initially passed, it soon returned and locked onto them. The moment Wang Lin sensed it, he felt a strange familiarity and immediately rushed toward the transfer array, with Li Yuan following. As they approached, the divine sense turned violent, the entire area within 1,000 feet turning red as crimson smoke formed ghost-like beings that shrieked and charged toward them. Wang Lin focused on reaching the array while Li Yuan handled defense, rapidly forming countless restrictions that spread outward to block the ghosts. With Li Yuan covering them, Wang Lin dragged him forward at full speed until they reached the edge of the array. Only one step away, at that critical moment, a cold snort echoed and a command rang out. Blood space. Condense. Instantly, an immense force compressed the region, space solidifying as if frozen. Wang Lin tried to take the final step but felt as though a mountain weighed him down, every movement becoming incredibly slow as both he and Li Yuan were trapped under overwhelming pressure like the might of the heavens. As if an invisible giant hand was closing around them. Wang Lin's face turned pale, cold sweat covering his body, and he couldn't even raise a hand to use a magical treasure. Looking ahead, he saw a streak of red light racing toward them, within it a crimson figure taking shape, radiating boundless hatred that spanned 2 star systems along with terrifying killing intent directed at him. In that life and death moment, Wang Lin opened his third eye and released a fan-shaped red light toward Li Yuan. Loosening the suppression, Li Yuan activated the true power of the annihilation restriction, a thick black line emerging from his forehead and forming a rune. Shouting, "Annihilation Restriction Heart," he expanded it rapidly and collided with the red shadow, causing a massive explosion that shattered the restriction into countless black lines. Though Li Yuan grew pale from the strain and commanded the lines to seal the shadow, it remained unharmed, taking advantage of the weakened suppression. Wang Lin grabbed Li Yuan and entered the transfer array, destroying it before leaving to prevent pursuit. After they escaped, the Blood Ancestor arrived, silently examined the remains, and in rage stomped the fragment of the Thunder Celestial Realm, his cultivation shattering it completely. Massive cracks spread, spatial rifts appeared, and the fragment collapsed into a giant vortex affecting neighboring fragments. Yet he cared only about finding his daughter and vowed Wang Lin would not escape again. Having ignored treasures and searched fragment after fragment for her, Wang Lin and Li Yuan appeared at a damaged altar in a dark, oppressive region filled with spatial cracks. Troubled by how close he had come to death, Wang Lin realized that without his third eye and Li Yuan's restriction, escape would have been impossible. While Li Yuan recovered, Wang Lin observed that divine sense attracted dangerous spatial cracks, making exploration difficult. Reflecting on the Blood Ancestor, Wang Lin considered releasing Yao Shishui and summoned her from the restriction sphere. After a century of imprisonment, she appeared frail but conscious and mocked him, explaining that regardless of his choice, her father would continue hunting him, that killing her would only free her spirit, and imprisoning her ensured endless pursuit until rescue. Realizing there was no easy solution, Wang Lin sealed her again. When Li Yuan recovered, he asked about the terrifying cultivator, and Wang Lin revealed it was the Blood Ancestor, whose cultivation was unfathomable and who held a personal grudge. Li Yuan estimated his strength was beyond Nirvana Shatterer, at least Nirvana Cleanser, making him one of the strongest in the All-Heaven star system. Admitting even his 4th-level annihilation restriction couldn't stop him, they agreed to search for an exit. With Wang Lin warning about spatial cracks that devoured divine sense, Li Yuan examined the surroundings, then borrowed Wang Lin's celestial guard and flew upward despite the danger. As he ascended, more cracks appeared, the guard fighting them off until the situation became critical. Wang Lin used the mountain and river screen to absorb many cracks and rescued him. After returning, Li Yuan excitedly explained his discovery. Celestials often created personal storage spaces instead of using ordinary storage. And when they died, these spaces could remain intact but were extremely difficult to reopen. Based on his observations, he concluded that the dirt, trees, and mountains had been transported from outside, and the unstable space with numerous cracks indicated they were inside an ancient celestial storage space rather than a normal fragment of the Thunder Celestial Realm. Wang Lin immediately grasped the significance of this revelation and asked whether everything inside would be destroyed if the storage space collapsed. Li Yuan confirmed that unlike normal fragments, the collapse of such a space would annihilate everything within it. However, he added that the space should remain stable unless disturbed by external forces. Hearing this, Wang Lin's eyes turned cold as he realized a new possibility. If the conditions were right, he could deliberately use the instability of the celestial storage space to set a trap and attempt to deal with the Blood Ancestor. Li Yuan admired Wang Lin's bold plan to resist and potentially kill the Blood Ancestor, a cultivator at least at the Nirvana Cleanser stage. While most people would only think of escaping from such a powerful opponent, Wang Lin instead sought a way to fight back. Li Yuan considered the idea nearly insane but also ingenious, believing it might succeed if executed properly. Excited by the prospect of killing a god, Li Yuan agreed to help without expecting any reward, feeling indebted to Wang Lin for saving both him and generations of the Li family. Wang Lin emphasized that the Blood Ancestor would not be easy to kill and that careful planning was required. Before acting, they decided to thoroughly search the storage space for treasures and set up restrictions that would eventually collapse the area. The two continued forward through the dangerous storage space, where spatial cracks appeared both in the sky and on the ground. Passing a mountain, Wang Lin sensed an aura similar to the celestial mountain inside his bag and investigated it with his divine sense before moving on. Eventually, they arrived at the first valley, whose entrance was covered by a thin layer of mist. Li Yuan examined the restriction and believed it was simple. He sent several restrictions into the mist, causing it to disperse. Confident, he prepared to enter, but Wang Lin stopped him and sent the Celestial Guard ahead first. The moment the Celestial Guard entered, the mist reappeared and transformed into countless arrows that bombarded it, forcing it back out of the valley. Li Yuan realized the restriction had been deliberately designed to kill people overly confident in their ability to break restrictions. Wang Lin then ordered the Celestial Guard to enter again. This time the guard released a powerful punch that created a vortex and disrupted the mist arrows. Wang Lin immediately entered the valley, followed by Li Yuan. Li Yuan began analyzing the restriction and marking key restriction eyes throughout the valley. Wang Lin used thunder from his origin soul to reinforce the vortex, causing it to absorb the surrounding mist. After Li Yuan identified the restriction eyes, the Celestial Guard and Wang Lin simultaneously attacked them. The attacks triggered a chain reaction that destroyed the valley's restriction. A whirlwind swept away the remaining mist and revealed the hidden treasure, a black short sword surrounded by 8 ferocious beast skulls emitting faint mist. Li Yuan offered Wang Lin a choice between the sword and the skulls. Although Wang Lin could tell the sword was extraordinary, he acknowledged Li Yuan's contributions and allowed him to take it. Wang Lin instead took the 8 beast skulls. Upon examining them with his divine sense, he was startled by what he discovered, though he concealed his reaction and quietly stored them away. Li Yuan happily accepted the short sword and thanked Wang Lin. After leaving the first valley, they approached the second valley. The closer they got, the more spatial cracks appeared. When they reached a 0.5 kilometers away, the path became completely blocked by countless cracks, making further travel impossible. Since teleportation was prohibited within the storage space, Li Yuan was at a loss. Wang Lin stated that he had a way to enter. He sat down and activated a secret technique by pointing to 9 locations on his body. Each point caused his face to grow redder until it became fiery red. After completing the preparation, he summoned the mountain and river screen, which expanded to over 10,000 feet and temporarily suppressed the surrounding cracks. The Celestial Guard then used nearly all of its strength to throw Wang Lin forward. As Wang Lin flew through the air, the mountain and river screen was rapidly torn by the countless cracks. Before the force from the throw faded, Wang Lin activated a blood escape technique he had learned in the Demon Spirit Land. His body flashed red 9 times, each flash increasing his speed dramatically until he moved almost as fast as teleportation. This technique could only be used because his cultivation had reached the peak of the late-stage Ascendant realm, otherwise, his body would have exploded. In an instant, Wang Lin crossed the 5-kilometer barrier and arrived at the entrance of the second valley. Pale and nearly collapsing from the exertion, he retrieved the mountain and river screen. Looking back, he could see Li Yuan still standing 5 kilometers away on the other side of the impassable region of spatial cracks. Wang Lin examined the entrance of the second valley and discovered an invisible restriction that devoured any probing restrictions he sent inside. Using his third eye, he finally perceived a hidden light screen and a nearly transparent devil shadow guarding the entrance. He lured the devil shadow away with restriction formations, then seized the opportunity to rush forward. Infusing Ling Tianou's sword energy into his finger, he pierced the weakened light screen and entered the valley before the devil shadow could stop him. Inside, the valley was covered with tens of thousands of skeletons. Strange insects gnawed on the bones, producing eerie sounds. At the center stood 8 identical short swords surrounding a giant beast skull. As Wang Lin moved to take the skull, the swords unleashed celestial sword energy toward him while the invisible devil shadow pursued him from behind. Using the stop spell, he briefly halted the swords and reached the beast skull. When the devil shadow attempted to devour him, he struck it with the karma whip, forcing it to retreat. He then sealed and collected the beast skull. Afterward, the 8 swords formed a deadly sword formation, while green mist emerged from the countless skeletons and transformed into shadowy figures that attacked him. The insects also swarmed toward him. Trapped inside the sealed valley, Wang Lin realized that all the restrictions relied on the mountain itself rather than a natural foundation. He attacked the mountain with all his celestial spiritual energy and thunder power while directing his celestial guard to do the same from outside. The celestial guard displayed immense strength, lifting the entire mountain onto its back and raising it high into the air. The violent disturbance disrupted the restrictions, causing the green mist and insects to flee. The guard then smashed the mountain back down, shaking the entire storage space and destroying many of the restrictions. Taking advantage of the chaos, Wang Lin escaped the valley. The devil shadow vanished, and the neighboring third valley also suffered damage from the collapse of the restrictions. Believing the ancient god leather armor must be in the third valley, Wang Lin and Li Yuan rushed there. The entrance had been widened by the destruction, revealing a damaged temple inside. Within the temple lay 2 skeletons. One wore ancient god leather armor, while the other had thrust its golden hand through the armored skeleton's skull. crushing it. Wang Lin immediately retrieved the leather armor and felt a powerful aura mixed with sorrow and bloodshed emanating from it. Li Yuan examined the golden fingers of the other skeleton and carefully removed them. When both men looked deeper into the temple, they were shocked and entered cautiously. The first floor was empty except for 9 murals depicting an enormous giant with 8 stars on its forehead fighting countless celestials armed with treasures. Although the giant's expression was cold and indifferent, the paintings also conveyed deep exhaustion. Li Yuan found the scenes unbelievable. But Wang Lin recognized the giant as an 8-star ancient god. Ascending to the second floor, Wang Lin found a simple room containing a table, brushes, a censer, and a sheet of paper held down by a celestial paperweight. The note described events from the celestial realm. Its author recorded that after the first war between the ancient order and the celestial realm ended in victory, he received a piece of ancient god skin and forged it into leather armor. 3 years later, a catastrophic change occurred when the celestial emperor suddenly went mad and died while pointing at the sky. The author witnessed a terrifying scene that should never have existed and became overwhelmed with fear despite having fought ancient gods before. He fled while feeling watched by a pair of eyes and attempted to paint what he had seen. His writing became increasingly frantic, ending with the words that he had drawn it but no longer understood what he had painted. After reading the note, Wang Lin grew serious, wanting to understand exactly what the celestial had experienced. He sat down at the table and picked up the brush. After leaving the transfer array, Wang Lin found himself in an unfamiliar land beneath a gloomy sky filled with thunder. Although the scenery was different, he could still sense the familiar aura of the thunder celestial realm. He admired Li Yuan's remarkable mastery of restrictions. Realizing how difficult it was to create a transfer array capable of escaping from a celestial storage space, he collected the transfer array by shrinking it into a crystal and storing it in his bag. After several days of travel, he secretly hid the bag he had taken from Yao Shishui deep inside a mountain. He placed multiple restrictions around it to conceal it and then left, believing that carrying the bag would only interfere with his plans and attract attention. Traveling across fragments of the Thunder Celestial Realm, Wang Lin eventually reached another fragment and went underground. During the month he had spent traveling, he had carefully studied the concealment restrictions Li Yuan had taught him. Driven by the threat of the blood ancestor, he made rapid progress. Although he knew he could not completely hide from the blood ancestor, he believed he could make himself difficult to locate when combined with his larger plan. He created a sphere of restrictions underground and sat inside it. Before sealing himself away, he summoned the Celestial Guard and transferred a portion of his divine sense into it. This was one of the Celestial Guard's abilities, allowing its owner to directly control it. After completing the final restriction, Wang Lin's true body disappeared within the concealed sphere while the Celestial Guard emerged carrying his divided divine sense. The Celestial Guard swallowed the transfer array crystal and left the underground hiding place. Wang Lin, now controlling the Celestial Guard, confirmed that even his own divine sense could not detect the location of his hidden body. He believed that without the Celestial Guard he would never be able to deceive the blood ancestor. Once the blood ancestor sensed the portion of Wang Lin's origin soul inside the Celestial Guard, he would inevitably be drawn toward it. Using the Celestial Guard's body, Wang Lin deliberately exposed himself. He flew openly and recklessly, spreading his divine sense widely like a beacon in the darkness. Since arriving in the All-Heaven star system, he had always been cautious because enemies from the Alliance star system could pursue him at any time. However, now that the blood ancestor had arrived and the Celestial Guard possessed extraordinary physical strength, Wang Lin chose to abandon caution and actively lure his enemy. Filled with killing intent, Wang Lin roamed from fragment to fragment. During 5 months of travel, he avoided unnecessary trouble but showed no mercy to those who provoked him. The Celestial Guard's powerful body, combined with Wang Lin's divine sense and techniques, made him extremely formidable. His reputation gradually spread among cultivators in the Thunder Celestial Realm. Ascendant cultivators avoided him, and even illusory Yin cultivators treated him cautiously. Despite his seemingly random movements, Wang Lin remained near the fragment where his real body was hidden. This served 2 purposes. It reduced the chance of missing the blood ancestor and allowed him to indirectly protect his concealed body. While Wang Lin searched for the blood ancestor, the blood ancestor was also searching for him, and the distance between them steadily decreased. Meanwhile, The blood ancestor moved through the void in red robes, crossing vast distances with each step. Though his expression remained calm, the redness in his eyes deepened every day. His daughter Yao Shishui was his greatest weakness. He was willing to challenge heaven itself and slaughter anyone in his path for her sake, even if forced to choose between reaching the third step of cultivation and saving his daughter. He would ultimately choose her. This distinguished him from cultivators like the All-Seer, who would sacrifice everything for cultivation. For Yao Shishui, the blood ancestor had even broken the oath imposed by his dying father, who had forbidden him from ever entering the All-Heaven star system. He often wondered why his father had left behind an All-Heaven stone while also forcing him to make such an oath. As the blood ancestor stepped onto a fragment and spread his divine sense across it, he suddenly sensed Wang Lin's presence. His expression turned cold, and overwhelming killing intent erupted from him. Merely releasing that intent caused a nearby mountain to collapse. He immediately disappeared and rushed toward Wang Lin. At nearly the same moment, Wang Lin arrived at another fragment. Before he could spread his divine sense, the sky darkened, the clouds churned violently, and the entire fragment trembled. Every cultivator on the fragment, regardless of cultivation level, felt overwhelming pressure as though heaven itself were descending. Wang Lin looked into the distance and smiled coldly. Knowing the blood ancestor had finally arrived, the clouds split apart as blood-red light flooded the world. A terrifying divine sense swept across the entire fragment with such force that even the fragment itself seemed close to collapsing. The blood-red light condensed 1,000 feet in front of Wang Lin, revealing a handsome middle-aged man with red hair, red eyebrows, and crimson robes, the blood ancestor. The blood ancestor silently stared at Wang Lin. Beneath his calm appearance burned an intense fury capable of destroying the world. Without speaking, he raised his hand and pointed at Wang Lin. The sky cracked as a terrifying force surged toward Wang Lin's forehead. Facing the attack, Wang Lin calmly stared back and said, "If you kill me, even though Yao Shishui has the blood soul pill, she will surely die."